They say wealth is a matter of luck, strategy, or relentless work. But those explanations are comforting illusions, stories people tell themselves to avoid confronting a quieter, more unsettling truth. Money does not follow effort. It follows behavior. Not the dramatic, public behavior everyone celebrates, but the small, repeatable, nearly invisible habits that shape how you think, move, decide, and align yourself with power. Look closely at those who accumulate wealth effortlessly, almost indifferently, and you will find no grand secrets. What you will find instead is an internal architecture, a private operating system built through subtle patterns of thinking and acting that compound in the background long before results appear. These people do not chase fortune. They create an environment where fortune has no choice but to flow toward them. This is not luck. This is not mysticism. This is machinery, quiet machinery, Machiavellian in its precision, unapologetic in its practicality, unbothered by conventional morality or public opinion. Most individuals sabotage themselves not because they lack talent, but because they operate with habits designed for survival, not advantage, for approval, not autonomy, for comfort, not control. The world rewards none of these. If you want wealth that lasts, wealth that grows even when you're still, wealth that responds to your presence the way iron responds to a magnet, you must rewire the habits that govern your decisions. You must think like someone who is not trying to win, but trying to design conditions where losing becomes nearly impossible. Here are the habits that build that kind of person. Here is where the machinery begins. Habit 1. Observe money the way a strategist observes a kingdom. Most people look at money emotionally, how to get it, how to spend it, how to feel secure with it. But the Machiavellian sees money the way a ruler sees terrain, a landscape of incentives, behaviors, and vulnerabilities. Money is not the objective. It is the map that reveals where people panic, where they grow arrogant, where they become predictable. This habit begins with a shift in perception. Instead of asking, "How can I earn more?" the Machiavellian asks, "Who moves when money moves? And why?" Because the moment you understand why someone wants money, you understand what leash they willingly put around their own neck. Observation is not passive, it is reconnaissance. Watch what makes people tighten their grip. Watch what makes them rush, hesitate, overpromise, flatter, or fold. Money exposes fears that no conversation will ever reveal. In practical terms, this means treating every financial interaction as data. When someone negotiates aggressively, are they protecting pride or survival? When someone spends impulsively, are they signaling status or escaping insecurity? When someone underprices themselves, are they lacking confidence or hiding capability? To the Machiavellian, every response is a clue. Wealth flows toward the one who sees the invisible rules beneath visible actions. You cannot control money until you control the narrative around it. And you cannot control the narrative until you master the habit of cold, precise observation, not judgment, not emotion, just strategic clarity. Habit 2. Preserve optionality the way others preserve comfort. The wealthy often lose their wealth, not through bad decisions, but through limited options. They tie themselves to fragile structures. A single employer, a single market, a single skill, a single audience. They trade freedom for convenience, and then call themselves stable. Machiavelli would treat optionality as a silent weapon. The man with one income fears change. The man with several shapes it. This habit is subtle because it is not about diversification for safety. It is about diversification for leverage. When others sense that you can walk away, they negotiate differently. They respect differently. They concede differently. Wealth flows toward the person who cannot be cornered. Practically, this means building multiple capabilities, not merely multiple incomes. Options are not streams of money. They are streams of power, a skill that others urgently need, a network that opens when another closes, a reputation that travels across industries, the ability to shift markets when markets shift you. Most people try to build a fortress of comfort. The Machiavellian builds a fortress of escape routes. The former traps you in luxury. The latter frees you from dependency. And in a world where the terrain changes faster than the map, the one with the most exits becomes the one with the most control. Habit 3. Maintain strategic invisibility. There is a kind of wealth that grows precisely because no one sees it. The wealth that is watched becomes the wealth that is targeted by envy, by competitors, by those who calculate what you can provide and what they can take. Machiavelli understood that the moment your abundance becomes visible, someone, somewhere, begins plotting around it. Strategic invisibility is not secrecy. It is misdirection. You let people see enough to underestimate you. You let them believe you are doing well, but not too well. You let them assume the source of your money is small, when in reality, the foundation is deeper than their understanding. To practice this habit, avoid the instinct to announce progress. Instead, make growth appear slow, steady, unimpressive. Not because you fear judgment, but because you shape perception. When people believe you are moderate, they relax. When they relax, they reveal. This invisibility extends to lifestyle. The Machiavellian does not drown in displays. He uses simplicity as camouflage. A quiet routine protects a loud empire. In practical form, this could mean choosing privacy over attention, declining unnecessary disclosures, structuring assets through layers that keep your movements opaque. It could mean resisting the impulse to signal success and letting your silence become your shield. Power does not need applause. It needs room to maneuver. And nothing gives you more room than being underestimated. Habit 4. Cultivate emotional self-distance. This habit is the foundation of every other Machiavellian advantage. The ability to separate feeling from movement. Money triggers emotional storms, fear of loss, obsession with gain, hunger for validation, panic during uncertainty. The average person reacts. The Machiavellian calculates. Financial decisions become destructive only when the ego enters the equation. Investments are ruined not by markets, but by impatience. Negotiations collapse not from numbers, but from pride. Opportunities vanish not from risk, but from fear of embarrassment or rejection. Emotional self-distance is not detachment. It is control. It allows you to observe your impulses the way a strategist observes an enemy. When you feel greed, you analyze. When you feel fear, you slow down. When you feel the urge to prove something, you remind yourself that power needs no performance. In everyday practice, this means delaying reactions until the emotional wave passes. It means refusing to respond to financial pressure with haste. It means never negotiating while angry, never investing while excited, never retreating while afraid. The Machiavellian understands that money is a field where emotions are the battlefield, and the one who remains calm in the chaos becomes the one who directs the outcome. Because wealth flows to stability, not the fake stability of comfort, but the inner stability of someone who cannot be provoked into foolishness. Habit 5. Normalize asymmetry in every exchange. Most people pursue fairness in financial interactions. They want equal contribution, equal reward, equal recognition. But wealth does not flow to those who seek symmetry. It flows to those who understand that slight, consistent asymmetry, not exploitation, creates long-term advantage. The Machiavellian never enters an exchange expecting balance. He enters expecting leverage. The aim is not to take more than others, but to position yourself where even equal exchanges benefit you disproportionately. This can manifest in subtle ways. You might offer value others cannot easily match, making even a fair collaboration tilt quietly in your favor. You might build reputational authority so that your endorsement is worth more than the service you receive. You might structure agreements so that outcomes compound on your side, while theirs remain linear. Most importantly, you maintain the habit of thinking, how does this position me for the next 3 steps? Rather than, is this fair right now? In practice, asymmetry emerges from foresight, not force. You do not pressure others, you outthink them. You design your role so that any partnership, however equal on the surface, feeds a longer, deeper structure that maintains your momentum. As Machiavelli would say, the superior general wins not by the size of his army, but by the terrain he chooses. The superior allocator wins not by effort, but by the frame he sets before the negotiation even begins. Habit 6. Invest in reputation before investing in assets. Most people see reputation as a nice bonus, something to polish when they have free time. The Machiavellian treats reputation as the first, most profitable investment because it is the only asset that influences wealth before wealth exists. A strong reputation accelerates opportunities long before money catches up. It shapes how people interpret your silence, how they value your presence, how they forgive your mistakes. Reputation creates narrative gravity, the invisible pull that brings resources toward you with minimal effort. The subtle habit here is not to be likable. It is to become predictable in excellence. People trust patterns. They fear uncertainty. They avoid chaos. When you establish a reputation for precision, discipline, reliability, or insight, you stop competing. People start self-selecting to work with you. In practical form, reputation is built through microsignals, honoring deadlines, refusing drama, speaking less but speaking clearly, moving with consistency even when unseen. Over time, these actions create an image of someone who does not need to prove himself because competence proves itself. The Machiavellian understands that assets can be taxed, stolen, inflated, or diminished, but reputation, when cultivated carefully, becomes a shield no authority can confiscate and a magnet every opportunity responds to. Build your reputation as if it were your true currency because it is the only currency that multiplies before the first dollar arrives. Habit 7. Control the rhythm of your movements. Timing is the hidden governor of wealth. Most people rush at the first sign of opportunity and freeze at the first sign of risk. Their rhythm is reactive, chaotic, predictable. The Machiavellian operates differently. He controls tempo like a conductor controls an orchestra, slowing when others speed, accelerating when others hesitate, pausing when others panic. Wealth accumulates not only from what you do, but from when you do it. This habit begins with a refusal to be hurried. Fast decisions create invisible taxes, miscalculations, overcommitments, unnecessary risks. The Machiavellian treats time as a tool, not pressure. By waiting when others rush, he gathers information. By acting when others relax, he gains initiative. In practical contexts, controlling your rhythm means delaying responses until the emotional fog clears, entering negotiations only when the other side has revealed urgency, scaling efforts only when the environment becomes inefficient for competitors, holding cash during noise and deploying it during silence. Every predator in nature understands rhythm. Observe, stalk, wait, strike. The Machiavellian adopts the same principle, not in aggression, but in precision. The world rewards those who move at the right moment, not those who move first. And the subtle habit of directing your tempo, instead of conforming to the tempo of others, ensures you are never driven by the market's energy, but by your own strategy. Habit 8. Build value in layers, not bursts. The average person treats wealth like fire, something to spark dramatically, to grow quickly, to burn brightly for all to see. But fire burns out, layers endure. Machiavellian wealth is built the way ancient fortresses were constructed, one firm, unremarkable stone at a time. This habit rejects the belief in sudden breakthroughs. The Machiavellian embraces gradual, relentless accumulation, stacking skills, networks, insights, and streams of income, slowly but deliberately. Where others search for shortcuts, he builds quiet layers of advantage that are impossible to uproot. A single breakthrough can be destroyed by a single setback, but layers create redundancy. If one cracks, the structure remains firm. In practical application, layered value might look like this: a skill that generates income but also enhances reputation, a network that provides opportunities but also protection, a project that earns money but also strengthens positioning, a business that produces cash flow but also produces leverage. Every action serves at least two purposes, one visible, one hidden. Over time, this creates exponential resilience. Most people chase windfalls. The Machiavellian chases architecture. Because wealth is not the result of a single brilliant move. It is the result of years of subtle, aligned habits, forming a structure stronger than any market fluctuation. When your value is layered, not flashy, not rushed, not fragile, you stop worrying about the flow of money. It flows by design. Habit 9. Master the art of selective invisibility. Power and wealth are not distributed evenly, but neither are they distributed purely by talent. Much of advantage comes from staying unseen at the right moments and visible at the right ones. Most people expose themselves too early. They speak before they understand the room. They reveal intentions before securing leverage. They demand recognition before delivering irrefutable value. The Machiavellian approaches visibility like a strategist approaches troop deployment, never reckless, never constant, always intentional. Selective invisibility is the habit of withdrawing from noise, conflict, and unnecessary spotlight so your moves unfold without resistance. Staying unseen gives you 3 advantages. It protects your developing strategies from premature scrutiny. It prevents rivals from mapping your trajectory. It preserves your energy for moments that actually matter. In real application, selective invisibility is simple. You refrain from boasting about work in progress. You let competitors argue publicly while you analyze silently. You allow others to underestimate you because their miscalculations become your leverage. This does not mean timidity. It means choosing visibility only when you have the advantage, when speaking, launching, or acting will produce maximum impact with minimal friction. Selective invisibility lowers threats and amplifies results. When you appear only at decisive moments, people assume you win effortlessly. Wealth accumulates faster when no one is trying to stop you. Habit 10. Engineer environments that pull you forward. The average person tries to discipline themselves into progress. They attempt to force productivity in environments that resist it, or maintain ambition in circles that quietly undermine it. This is why their momentum collapses. The Machiavellian understands that environment is stronger than willpower. Instead of fighting friction, he engineers surroundings that pull him forward naturally, removing obstacles, reducing noise, and constructing a landscape where the path of least resistance is aligned with his goals. People underestimate how subtle environmental engineering can be. It can be as small as removing notifications, setting up systems that automate decisions, eliminating chaotic energy from your daily proximity, or structuring your workspace so that productive action is easier than procrastination. It can also be social. The people you allow within conversational distance shape your thinking far more than your intentions do. The Machiavellian ensures that those around him either elevate his vision or at least do not impede it. He does not rely on motivation. He relies on architecture. In a financial sense, engineering environment means setting up default actions that favor wealth accumulation, automatic contributions, restricted access to impulsive spending, or surrounding yourself with individuals who think in terms of opportunities rather than obstacles. When the world around you is constructed to support your trajectory, discipline becomes irrelevant. The environment does the lifting for you. Wealth grows naturally when the landscape itself pushes you upward instead of holding you back. This habit is subtle, quiet, almost invisible, but it is one of the strongest levers the Machiavellian uses. He does not overpower the world. He reshapes the world to remove resistance. Habit 11. Speak with precision, not frequency. People who lack influence speak often. People who possess influence speak precisely. This is a habit rooted in control. Control over emotion, over language, over narrative. Words are not fillers, they are instruments, and in the hands of the Machiavellian, they become tools that direct perception, increase authority, and eliminate ambiguity. Speaking less has nothing to do with shyness. It is the result of calculation. Silence creates demand. It forces others to fill the space with their assumptions, revealing their priorities and weaknesses. And when you do speak, the rarity of your words makes them carry more weight. But the habit goes deeper. Precision means expressing what is necessary, nothing more. It means removing fluff, avoiding over-explanation, and refusing to reveal more information than strategically required. In practical scenarios, precision might look like making short, clear requests instead of long, emotional appeals, asking targeted questions instead of offering unsolicited solutions, declining to explain your decisions when a simple "this is the direction" is enough, using concise language that signals certainty and competence. Machiavelli understood that people judge not only what you say, but how you say it. Ambiguity weakens authority. Over-talking lowers status. Excuses signal insecurity. The Machiavellian uses speech to shape expectations. He communicates in a way that suggests control even when circumstances are shifting. And because people instinctively trust confidence, this habit has direct financial impact. It influences negotiations, leadership, partnerships, and opportunities. You do not need to speak often to shape the flow of wealth. You need to speak purposefully. A single, precise statement can redirect a room more effectively than a long explanation. And those who master this habit move through the world with a form of quiet power that others feel but cannot fully articulate. Habit 12. Guard emotional autonomy above all else. If there is one habit that separates those who accumulate wealth from those who merely chase it, it is emotional autonomy, the ability to remain internally directed, even when the world is loud, unstable, or demanding immediate reaction. Most people are emotionally porous. They absorb the urgency of others. They inherit fears that are not theirs. They imitate the impulses of their environment, reacting to market swings, social pressure, or criticism with no internal filter. The Machiavellian cultivates emotional autonomy deliberately. He knows that wealth flows to those who stay rational when others become chaotic, patient when others become impulsive, calm when others become desperate. This habit is not coldness, it is sovereignty. It means you do not let someone else's emergency become your emergency. It means you do not feel obligated to mirror the anxiety of a room. It means you make financial decisions based on long-term advantage, not short-term emotion. It means you step outside the noise before choosing your next move. In practical terms, emotional autonomy often expresses itself through delaying answers, delaying reactions, delaying commitments until the emotional dust has settled. Emotion creates distortion. Distortion creates loss. By protecting emotional independence, the Machiavellian protects clarity, and clarity is the currency that converts uncertainty into opportunity. When you govern your own emotions, instead of inheriting them from others, you reduce self-inflicted damage and increase strategic advantage. This habit creates an internal fortress, one that keeps wealth flowing because it keeps your judgment clean. Habit 13. Scale influence before scaling income. Most people chase higher income without first building the leverage that makes income sustainable. They believe money creates influence. The Machiavellian understands the opposite. Influence creates money consistently, repeatedly, and often quietly. Influence means people listen when you speak, follow when you move, and trust your direction even when outcomes are uncertain. It has nothing to do with fame and everything to do with psychological weight. The subtle habit here is prioritizing influence-building activities before income-generating ones, because influence expands the effectiveness of everything you touch afterward. This might take the form of becoming the person whose recommendations carry disproportionate authority, positioning yourself as a reliable cornerstone in a professional ecosystem, developing insight that others depend on to make decisions, cultivating networks where your presence becomes a unifying force. Influence compounds. Every skill you learn becomes more valuable when people already trust your competence. Every opportunity becomes easier to access when people already seek your involvement. Every negotiation becomes smoother when people already expect you to lead. When you scale income without influence, you build vertically on weak foundations, easy to topple, vulnerable to volatility. When you scale influence first, income becomes a downstream effect. The world pulls you forward rather than requiring you to push constantly. This is why Machiavellians rise in any environment. They do not chase wealth. They increase their gravitational pull until wealth has no choice but to move toward them. These 13 habits are not loud, glamorous, or dramatic. They are subtle, internal, and cumulative, easy to underestimate, precisely because they lack spectacle. But power is rarely built through spectacle. Wealth is rarely maintained through theatrics. Enduring prosperity is engineered through quiet habits, repeated consistently, almost invisibly, long before others recognize your trajectory. The Machiavellian does not rely on luck, motivation, or sudden brilliance. He relies on structure. He relies on clarity. He relies on an internal operating system designed to convert small advantages into long-term dominance. In the end, wealth flows toward the individual who thinks deeper, moves quieter, and builds slower but with intention sharper than others can comprehend. These habits do not promise ease. They promise control. Not control over the world, but over the forces within yourself that determine how you navigate it. Adopt them, and you stop chasing wealth. You shape the conditions in which wealth chases you.